Alright, today we're doing a little tune-up work on the Durango. It's getting plug wires, cap, and rotor put on it. Plugs were done a year or so ago. Plug wires and cap and rotor, I think they were about 2013, 2014, so they're about 4 or 5 years old. It's throwing misfire coated wide open throttle at like the top of over $4,000. It doesn't feel like it's misfiring at all or anything. It's running just fine, but it was saying cylinders 2 and 8. So I monkeyed around with I made some roadkill style zip tie wire separators, make sure they're apart, and messing with where the wires are at actually seemed like it made it worse, because then it was throwing the code for cylinders 6 also, and maybe 7, I forget exactly which ones, but so messing with the wires made a difference, just not a good difference. So I think it's time for it to get new wires on it. I took the air box and the catch can off the back to make it a little easier to get to things. That's what that little bit of oil's from. So we'll just yank off all the plug wires. It's easy enough to get these things back in the right order. I think all Chrysler V8s still use the old school firing order, 184366572, just like old Chevy. Big blocks and small blocks, I guess they're pre-LS. LSs use some new firing order. Ford always did something weird. So we'll yank those all out, get the new ones on, and got some wire separators from Summit when I ordered this stuff too, so it make it a little better than the zip tie ones, but between these we'll keep everything separate. Got some Taylor ignition wires, Excel, cap and rotor, and we'll see how this all goes. All the old wires are out. See a little better over here. Driver's side has more room. So they're all out. So it's got the distributor back there. We'll just get it off, and then we'll be in business to start getting new parts out of here. So let's get probably need the stubby. The thing about the distributor here is, since all the ignition, the timing, everything's computer controlled, the distributor can only go on in one specific spot. So you don't need to worry about indexing it or anything. Just pop off the cap and tear your pants. Yeah, you just pop off the cap, and the new one will only go back on in the right spot. It's one of those times where you can feel it a lot better than you can see it. There we go. We'll pull that out that side. It's a little easier over there. Of course, off covers are aluminum, so you can't stick a flashlight to them. So we'll just pull this guy on out. And same thing, the cap or the rotor can only go on one way, but we'll keep it. Remember, it's pointing right back. So there you go, everything as it sits in the motor. So this cap, it's not horrible, but it's definitely showing some age. You can see some carbon buildups in there, you can see too, and I checked in my logbook or two, but there you go. October 2013, so cap and rotor are about 5 years old, over 5 years old. It's November now. So yeah, those, definitely showing some wear. The end of the rotor, if it'll focus, Yeah, same. Showing some wear. Yeah, so definitely ain't bad that these are getting changed. You know, the wires themselves didn't look too bad. They're actually a little bit newer, but these were all Summit branded parts. I don't know who actually makes it for them, but they're good when they're new, but anything old, it's going to start wearing eventually, so we'll get our new stuff out here. We'll start getting the cap and rotor on, and we'll go from there. Alright, so we got our new plug wires laid out here and the old ones. So I think what we're going to do, to keep, wires from touching as much back on the distributor, we're going to steal the split loom off these old ones, put it on the end up here of the new ones. That should keep, wires being against each other, cross-firing or anything like that. And then we'll start putting stuff back on. So now we've got all the split loom and everything transfer apart from the coil wire. I gotta get it on the coil wire still, but so we've got the old wires all stripped down. They'll get pitched. So we've got the new ones, got them laid out where it looks like got the right length of every cylinder, but if we need to move them around a bit, we will. But, it makes enough sense. Shorter ones closest to the back of the engine. Distributors at the back on a small block Chrysler. We'll get the coil wire take care of, but first we'll get the distributor on, and the rotor. Probably be good to remember that, otherwise it won't run much. Okay, so we'll get the new rotor on. There we go. Right on there. That crank breather would stay out of the way, that'd be great. And we'll let's see how we gotta fish this back in there. Wish the light's gonna be in the way. Put the light back now so we can see again. Just lift it over the. Yep. And it looks like we're in place there. Alright, so we got the distributor tightened down back there, and we went ahead and we cleaned up most of that oil that had dripped from the catch can onto the valve cover here. I'll have to see about getting the O-rings changed in it. Alright, so I took that one I had off on number 8 and came back over here because thinking about it, I was forgetting for a minute. Distributor on a small block Chrysler, and actually I'll go back over here so you can see. It's not completely centered. It sits on the, there you go, it sits more to the driver's side of the engine. So if I come over here, stand, hold the camera, look dead back over the engine, it's on the driver's side, it's offset some. So we're gonna take that into consideration, and a little bit of longer wires need to go on the passenger side. I forgot that a minute ago. So we've kind of laid them all out here, and I've swapped some around. So before I believe I had these two set out for cylinders 8 and 6, but we really want these two little bit longer ones. So this is the one that'll go on number 8 now. It's a little bit longer than this one, and I just kind of hooked them all back here over the edge of the workbench. But if you see here, these are the two that were 6 and 8 moving forward. You see they end in the same spot, but where they reach on the distributor is a little longer. So if I set these two this way, set the ends of them even with the end of the workbench there, you see that's about where they wound up here. So now we got the things right for those, and we'll see where we wind up over here. I might have to switch one or two of these around depending on where exactly on the distributor the wire reaches, but so we'll just kind of put them on so it fits nice and don't have to have wires laying across each other, and hopefully they're all fit in the guides nice. Alright, so we got them all set up on the driver's side too. See, they're all over there. Used 2 of the Summit wire separators. Actually, all 3 of them right here. Used 4 wide 1 in the back and 3 in the 2 there. Yeah, I'm using the one factory on there. This one seems a little better on this side, so hopefully those will hold good. Otherwise I'll get another set of those keepers. Their wire separators are cheap. Alright, so we got everything put back together. All the plug wires, coil wire, air box is back on. Catch can's cleaned up and put back on. So let's make sure everything fires up. Well, it's running on all cylinders, the sound of it.